another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, but especially field command and advanced tactics. And our peasant revolt continues here. In this episode, we're going to look to consolidate power here, probably execute some insolent nobles, talk some more shit, talk some more history, and continue to try to survive here in our peasant revolt here. We have about 600 total peasants in our revolt, spread out now over 2 cities and a castle. One of our castles, Atrion Castle's under siege, and this guy here just died. This guy here looks like he was raiding one of our towns, and he has backed himself into a corner. So I'm going to recruit the troops here. I'm going to buy all their food. I've already disbanded one of my companions here. This little heat-seeking device here, if you've never used this before, is a really good way to hunt down rebels, hunt down these little smaller armies. You know, I could never catch them on my own, but by having these 2 armies here, we can sort of corner this guy and take him out. Okay, you can see he's got nowhere to run now. Had he tried to go to one of the sides, I could have angled over and used my companion to trap him. Either way, this actually looks like a gal. Stranger. Etheria. Well, you're trapped there, stranger. You can join the rest of the nobles on the chain line following the cows shitting all over you guys. I'm going to fight this. Well, if you send troops in this battle, a lot of times you lose troops. I'm going to fight this battle out even though it's at night. We're just going to have a quick battle to start this episode. And I may not do this very often. I'll probably auto-resolve quite a bit. But in my experience, as long as you have good tactics, pretty solid tactics, the auto-resolve almost always is worse than handling it yourself. Now, in the name of brevity, in the name of not boring you guys to death, I probably won't do this very often. But a lot of people wanted to see a full-fledged campaign. I've had guys suggest that I make it like a subscriber only, or even a paywall subscriber only. I'm probably not planning on doing that anytime in the near future. I'm just kind of having fun with this. I suppose if there was a big clamoring for people who wanted like very exclusive content, then perhaps I would consider that. But the point is that I'm going to have a few of these as part of this campaign, as part of this Peasants Revolt, because of course you yourself, if you're in a campaign, if you're fairly new to Bannerlord, this is meat and potatoes of the game, right? You're going to have these battles where you're favored and you're fighting a smaller force, but of course you want to minimize casualties. So we're going to set up our units here. I've got archers already getting set up on the high ground. I'm getting stabbed in the face. That's not a good strategy, by the way. So we're going to set up skirmishers. The first infantry is brought closest to the enemy, and we're going to skirmish a little bit with their horse archers and with their cavalry. Now, this is a smaller force than us, but it has much stronger troops. I've already seen several elite cataphract. So it's one of those situations where, again, even though we're outnumbering them like 4 to 1, if you auto-resolve this, you will suffer grievous losses. Like legionaries, they have high-level troops. Oh, that's bad. Get out of here. Go, go, go. Don't get shot to death. It'd be pretty ironic, of course, if Zuvan, pretty ignoble, if he got killed in this kind of a battle. A little tiny skirmish where, of course, F1 and F3 would work just fine. Part of the reason that's a threat is that I tend to play pretty reckless with Zuvan. In fact, we're going to get off here. I'm going to join my mates in combat. I've got the 1st and the 6th attacking. Our archers have a good position, and I'm just coming in behind the enemy here. Going to pick off some of their troops, and then we're going to wade in with our 2-handed hammer. There's still risk in this, and there's even more risk than on the edge, it appears, right? That's because we have a mod that greatly increases the death rate for all nobles, including Zuvan, including my other nobles. It's actually 100 times, well, we're going to find out how bad it is. It's 100 times the normal death rate of Bannerlord. See the video, the details for more information about that mod. But I'm adding it for this Peasant Revolt, and it's configurizable. You can configuratable, something like that, some word like that. You can configure it to whatever your desires are. If you want death to be a little bit more common than normal Bannerlord, that's an easy configuration. And conversely, in this situation here, I want this to be somewhat realistic. I don't know the exact rate. Pardon me there, a little frog in the throat. Thing that happens when you get older, I guess. I don't know the exact rate of death, but basically it's much higher with the setting I have it set on. For those curious, my setting right now is 1. If they load the mod and they're curious, And we are experiencing noble deaths pretty regularly, as is the enemy. Of course, the enemy is also experiencing executions. That's a little different. But nevertheless, the whole point is that death is increased for our campaign here. And so there's an added element of sort of difficulty and stress. Now, to be honest, that's more troops than I thought we were going to lose. We ended up losing 3 and 7 injuries. But look at their troops, right? Tons of Imperial Sergeant Crossbowmen, Elite Cataphract, Elite Manavleton. Come with us, Etheria. You can join the nobles. Who's this fucking guy? Alright, we'll let this guy go. I don't know who that is. Alright, so this is sweet. They had some troops. This is going to be nice. We will recruit all their tier 4 and under troops and pass on these tier 5 troops, right? We're not going to be taking Imperial Cataphracts. For those watching an episode for the first time, all of this whole series, we have some self-applied rules here. Make sure our army's gathered up before we go to Varagos. We have some self-applied rules that are half roleplay and half designed to create an intensely difficult challenge here. The first is we're at war with everybody, and we will not have peace with any of the other empires. All of our companions have leather armor, more or less, or weaker armor. I mean, you can see Zuvan here is wearing like a bear coat. Almost everybody has some kind of weak armor. In fact, this part here, I thought about just skipping this part so you didn't have to see this, but a few of these companions, we are going to put weaker armor on them. I called some of these companions recently. They were actually taken prisoner before this campaign started, and so these companions here, it'll just take 30 seconds while I put some armor on them. But we're taking their plate off, right? We're essentially saying we're role-playing that the peasants in our army despise the nobles. And so, of course, it wouldn't be appropriate if our nobles ran around in pompous, very high-end metal armor. Now, we might let an occasional pair of boots go where it's like not real obvious. And I'm trying to take off all the helmets that are obvious. But the whole point is we're effectively making our companions much weaker, right? This good-looking gal here, we'll stick a hood on her, and ultimately the effect of this is to make the challenge harder, right? We're sort of nerfing our companions, and we do have high-level companions. This gal I think is like level 30, so it's necessary to nerf them a little bit to make things difficult. But the other part is just it's a role-playing element, right? We want our peasants, so to speak, to understand that we're fighting in the same armor as them, risking death, especially with that mod, right? So a few other self-applied constraints. I mentioned the tier 5 and 6 units. Oh shit, what's we got going on here? Let's see if we're gonna get attacked here by this force. It's a combined force of Sturgeon and Western Empire. Of course, they're all enemies because we're at war with everybody. This town here is nice enough to give us some troops here. They're voluntold to give us some units, and we'll see if these forces are going to attack us here. Probably not. We outnumber them. Let's see. I want to scout Ataconia Castle. That's why I'm intentionally going back here. Oh, this is interesting. So we're enemies with both these sides, but they're actually fighting each other. That represents an opportunity. If you don't know how the system works, basically, clearly this Sturgeon side is going to be taken prisoner by this. It's actually a minor clan, this Mengus motherfucker. This guy is one of the minor clans, and he just destroyed that Sturgeon force. He probably has a stacked army. But we're going to track this guy down. How it works is those guys are all prisoner of this guy's army, and basically the system will gladly allow you to recruit those guys and add them to your army. It's very difficult for us to get units into our army because we're constantly disbanding our tier 5 and 6 units. Yeah, you're not getting away, dude. We're going to cut this guy off at the pass, and we are going to war here. So the whole benefit, of course, of this little smaller fight, again, we're starting this episode off with kind of a couple unusual fights here against smaller armies than us. Most of the time we're outnumbered, outgunned. We're probably seriously outgunned here. He just destroyed that Sturgeon force with like one loss, so he probably has a stacked army. But we're going to essentially rescue these prisoners, right? This guy took a bunch of guys prisoner, and those guys will be part of our army, all of the tier 4 and below, after we defeat this guy. I'm just configuring some units here. And again, gathering units into our army is one of the most difficult parts of this campaign here. And the reason is very simple. Our towns are being raided nonstop. They don't have a lot of troops available. We don't have that many towns. It's not like we have 15 towns to draw troops from. We've got 1 castle and 2 cities. And of course, unfortunately, I'm disbanding units at a regular basis, and I can describe that as we make our way to the enemy here. Oh, they're a long ways away too, so I got a second to describe this for someone who doesn't know. Anytime a unit in one of our armies hits tier 5 or above, and this is only happening in our companion armies, of course, I'm not upgrading any units. What we're doing is we're just simply gathering them all. I'm gathering all those units up, taking them from my nobles, and then disbanding those guys, right? We're saying we're not going to fight with noble units. And so we're making the game extra hard that way. Instead of having upgraded units in our peasants army here, knights and elite cataphracts and like Battanian Fiend champions, we're discharging those guys. We're saying we don't need your help. Our peasants don't like fighting alongside guys who have an estate, right? They want to fight with guys who are also in rags and weak armor. And so we're combination role play and making the game harder in that manner. Alright, so we're seeking the high ground in this battle here. I don't know the strength of the army. I don't think I looked at it before this battle started. But in any battle, against a sizable force, and look at the power bar. Even though we outnumber them 2-to-1, the AI thinks this is an even fight. What that tells you is that this army that we're facing has stacked units in it. These are all gallant sword sisters or whatever. Those are the top ranked, horse crossbow woman or whatever awkward way you want to say that. So we're going to approach this battle with a little bit of caution. We are going to drop these guys from their horses whenever possible, but we're going to approach this battle with a bit of caution. Ordinarily, if we outnumber troops 2-to-1, right, they would represent virtually no threat. But in this situation, we're just sort of playing it a little bit safe until we see what we're up against. And what I see we're up against is lots of Imperial elite cataphracts. Even at this distance, I can see their armor gleaming in the sunshine. I also see high-end archers everywhere I fucking look. So this is going to be a challenge. I guess we could lose. That would be incredible if we lost to a force half our size, but we do have low-ranked troops. So we're going to take a high ground situation here. Where the enemy's positioned, I can't attack them from that other location, so I'm going to drag them up onto this hillside. Hillside situations, especially when you can do modified kill boxes where you kite the enemy and then attack them from multiple sides, can be absolutely devastating, and that's what we're going to try to pull off here. Now, the kill box is a tactic that I've gone over ad nauseum, especially guys that watch the channel regularly are like, shut the fuck up already. But if you're new to the channel, kill box is a pretty valuable tactic, especially against an infantry-heavy army. Now, this is not an infantry-heavy army. They have a nice mix. They do have more infantry than archers or cav, and so it might be viable. But they have so much cav that a traditional kill box, especially a kiting kill box, would not work particularly well. Okay, they do have a completely stacked army. Every unit here is a tier 5 unit. Those are all elite Manavliatons. And this is a function of another mod probably that I have. I say probably because units will upgrade in a traditional army, but this army is entirely stacked with high-level units. Tier 5, Tier 6. I don't know if I saw a single Tier 4 unit yet. All of these are elite cataphracts or cataphract, either elite or normal cataphract, which is Tier 5 and Tier 6. And here we are holding them off with our brigands and whatnot, tier 4 and below. All right, so they pounded themselves up against our cav. Our infantry lines both charge. Any of their cav that's dumb enough to stay there in that spot is going to be mowed down. And all we're doing here is buying time for our archers to get up on these hill faces. Archers shoot further and for more damage from range, and of course acquiring these high ground areas, they'll also shoot over a lot of shields, right? They're going to be able to shoot down, they're going to be able to shoot down on the enemy and cause major damage. Not a smoker. Sometimes my voice gets kind of grisly. My wife actually thinks it's sexy, but I'll try not to have too many Grizzly Adams moments here. All right, we're gonna club some banner knights here. Again, every single unit here is tier 5 or tier 6. This is an incredible army. Motherfucker. Imperial Cataphract. But our forces are set up now in great position, and the slaughter is about to commence here. There's going to be losses just based on the strength of the force we're facing. You can see them cutting down our riders and cutting down our infantry here. You know, when peasants face cataphracts, they're going to have problems with it, right? These guys are lightly armored. We're going to suffer some losses. Actually, our cavalry is taking a beating. We're losing a lot of our cavalry, and we don't have a lot of cavalry, so that's kind of disconcerting. Now that we've opened fire up, though, the tides have turned here, and their cav is now going to get skewered, or they're going to have to flee. As soon as the enemy, of course, flees with their cavalry, our archers, we're going to light up their infantry, and we're going to provide some kind of combined attack on the enemy here, right? I'm a big fan of doing a square with a strong infantry division and then attacking their units that attack that square with units on the flank, right? So that way they're sort of distracted, and then you pound them with skirmishers and shock troops. Okay, their infantry's charging. You pound them with shock troops. I'll probably do something like that. It'll depend on what the formation looks like. Every single guy here is tier 5. All right, so I got my first infantry right there in a big block, and the third infantry behind it. But for the moment, I want to kite. I don't have these archers set up yet. Those aren't archers, actually. Those guys have, like, they're wearing scythes, like cloth armor and scythes. That's an unfortunate thing. I might set up a division to be shock troops, but the AI is going to give me guys with farm implements because we don't have a lot of shock troops. All right, backing those units up, you can see these peasants over here. We're going to form these guys into another sort of arc on the enemy so they can get enfilade fire. And look at the damage our archers are doing, right? These are weak archers, and they're skewering the enemy. You can see the death spam, right? It's Forest Bandit. It's Imperial Archer. All right, these guys here, the enemy's sort of split, so we can charge here. They can come down on the enemy. We want to break up this vanguard here a little bit. And I misspoke. The Forest Bandit, you know, if you talk to seasoned Bannerlord players, they'll tell you the Forest Bandit is a pretty good archer. I think it has 2 quivers of arrows, and it has a pretty good bow to it. I've even heard of some people comparing it to like a Britannian Fian or hero. Still, we have a pretty weak army, and we just absolutely skewered their vanguard. Now it's time to just make the rest of their archers lay down as well. And that's defeating the enemy in detail there, right? I mention this all the time. We waxed their cavalry. They helped us by sending their cav in recklessly. Then we waxed their main vanguard. Now we're just going to pick off and destroy the rest of these archers. I still can't get over how every unit in this army is tier 5. Part of the reason that happens in our campaign, besides the fact that I have a mod that increases the XP that troops gain in an army, the other reason this is happening is that our enemies have mature kingdoms. There are cities throughout the kingdom in the game that I'm playing right now that have a prosperity of 10,000 plus. These are very big, very mature kingdoms, and so the kingdoms have a lot of money to field very powerful armies. Ordinarily, you would have a very difficult time paying for a whole army of tier 5 units, and in vanilla Bannerlord, you won't see that. But we're seeing it here, and that, for me, that only increases the challenge, which is practically what the doctor ordered. Right? We want this challenge to be as difficult as possible. I mean, it's almost suicide what we're trying. Right? We're fighting the whole map with 2 cities and 1 castle and a bunch of peasants and saplings. And my wife is literally wearing her best dress. I'm not joking. That's a dress she's wearing. It's, I think, a corseted dress or something like that. And she's charging into battle. And the enemy is fleeing, right? This tough force skewered by these peasants and militia archer. I mean, you can see it's militia archers, and we just fucking skewered them. Look at their force. Holy fuck. 52 cataphracts, 60 or 75 elite Manabliatons. That was an incredibly tough force. And we had 5 losses and 23 injured. So under the circumstance, that was like an incredibly successful battle. And again, we did so with our finest dress and leopard cloak. Come with us, Mengus. You can join the rest of these guys. See, here we go. Let's see. Actually, we're going to take him prisoner still. Now, did I ask you to speak? Come with us. But now I'm going to take all of his non-tier 5 units. All right, perfect. He's got like 60 tier 4 and below units. This is a huge relief to our army there. So we lost 5 guys, but we just added 60 to our army. Right? This is something that you can pursue in your own campaign. You definitely want to pursue situations like that where 2 of your enemies, or maybe someone you're neutral with, ends up in a battle like that. Attack the victor and take all those prisoners. I will look for other opportunities like that because we have very few ways to acquire troops. The other reason I came over here is I want to scout Ataconia Castle. It looks pretty strong, but not overwhelmingly strong. That may be one of our next targets. I would like to take Rotai. Rotai is a city that's kind of kitty corner to where we are here at Amitatis. Having these 3 cities in proximity to each other will make it easier for me to defend, and of course try to branch out there with our campaign here. Again, I'm going to go to this Thorios village and collect some supplies. I'm collecting food especially as often as I can because my citadels are being sieged constantly. And the net effect of that, of course, is that they are... Yeah, you want peace. They want us to pay still. You fucking assholes. You insolent fucks sending us diplomats, ordering us to pay you for peace. Well, you can say goodbye to some of your nobles. Fucking insolent Southern Empire. Let's see. Teach them a lesson here, right, fellas? We're going to run out of nobles at this rate if they keep enraging the Jarl. Wait, I'm not a Jarl. We're actually... Don't tell them I'm a Jarl. We're role-playing here. We're just a random leader here of this peasant band, right? We believe all about egalitarianism and all that kind of good stuff. Except if there's any pizza, we're eating all the pizza. We're not sharing any of that with these peasants. All right, so this force now is very small. They've been pounding on this garrison. This is a benefit to us, though, right? Because they will suffer more losses generally when it auto-resolves like this against a garrison. And now we can mop up these forces here. Okay, so motherfucker Amitatis is already under siege. See, I have all these plans. I'm going to take Rotai. I'm going to take Ataconia Castle. And then the fucking enemy just comes non-stop. How many fights have we had in this episode just to get to Varagos Castle? It's been seemingly never-ending. And we're going to play this battle out as well. I will probably auto-resolve really obvious battles, like where they're outnumbered 6, 7, 8 to 1. But at least until you guys sort of complain, I'm going to fight a lot of these in this manner, right? We're going to actually fight. I'll do tactics even when we outnumber the enemy like this 2.5 to 1. And we'll try to skewer the enemy and really minimize our losses. Now, a lot of it might seem random, but there is a plan to most of this, right? We've got the skirmishers near the 1st infantry, and that's because I want to form that infantry into a square. If the enemy comes with a large infantry division, if they don't and it's just heavy cav, I want them holding their spears out so that our javelin guys right offset to their left, their right there can throw their... Well, I don't see many guys in there with javelins. In theory, some of those guys have javelins, so that's literally our javelin division, but we have so few guys that are actually high level. What the fuck? It's like all peasants. Well, never mind. We don't have any javelins. Maybe they can throw their pitchfork. I mean, this is why these battles are hard still. I'm literally fighting with an army almost entirely of peasants, it seems like. It's about 50% peasants, recruits. We have some militia, of course. Obviously, our cav is not peasants. There's no cav that's peasants in the game. But we have an extremely low-level army here. You don't see any plate mail. You might see an occasional guy wearing some studded leather armor or something like that. Or like a helm once in a while. Of course, the enemy's flying in here with their horse archers. But this challenge is what we're here for, right? If it sounds like I'm complaining and being a bitch, I'm just belaboring the point, I guess, that this is difficult. Fucking asshole. And we're going to continue to try to win these battles with tactics, right? And some well-placed javelin throws against their Consguards. So Consguards, the Western Empire here, or no, this is Southern Empire. They have fucking Consguards. No, this is Northern Empire. I beg your pardon. The pink and the purple look a lot alike on my monitor. All right, so this cav division hopefully slows down the 3rd. What we're planning on doing here, if you can't see, is we're surrounding their infantry force. I'm now dragging this division that's with me here. This is our only strong infantry division. It's our upgraded 3rd Corps. The 1st Corps is in a square. It's literally peasants holding their scythes, like, together. You know, that's all they have is a square. They're actually passing our 1st Division, so we'll have those guys charge. We're smoking some of our own recruits here, and we're going to barrel in on the enemy with our 3rd Corps here, right? This is an enveloping attack. The idea of this is that not only will they not be able to retreat, but obviously we're going to be attacking them from 3 sides, right? They're getting surrounded, and their elite forces. It doesn't matter if you're elite. If you're a legionnaire and you're surrounded, you get killed still, right? These archers shooting the enemy in the back. Obviously, their heavy cav here is going to cause some deaths. But the screen is very green considering what we're facing here. This fucking gal's trying to... Yeah, you weren't getting away. Now just mopping up these archers here in this battle. I think we'll probably continue these episodes here. I'm taking breaks. Honestly, sometimes I gotta stop to pee and shit like that. Unless you're thinking of that Carmen South Park episode. I gotta shit. And his mom came running down and he's playing video games all day and he just shits all over her. It's fucking hysterical. I mean, it's also incredibly crude and rank, but it's also fucking hilarious. She just holds a bucket for him to shit in. We won't be doing that, right? I'm gonna have to take bathroom breaks and stuff like that. But most of these episodes, I'm probably gonna try to make an hour, maybe 35, 40 minutes to an hour, somewhere in that range. So you guys both are not exhausted, but also so I can create regular content for you guys. Again, we're gonna go through and pick up any of these prisoners that might be of use to us. I especially want these tier 3 axemen. I think it's the only tier 3, what's it called? Yeah, tier 3 axemen in the game. Or two-handed weapon is what I should say. I think it's the only two-handed tier 3 unit in the game. Now, I mean, unless you count the peasants with they got the big scythe. So Varagos Castle is now well defended, but you see the garrison here is pretty small. That's going to be a problem. But I think now we've got to head down to defend Amitatis. All right, so periodically I am going to do this with this campaign. We're going to speed through some of the sort of slow and boring parts, right? Here all we're doing is consolidating all our tier 5 and tier 6 units to the Zavon. That way we can essentially disband these units, right? We're going through our companions and saying, no, I'm sorry, you don't get any noble units, you don't get any tier 5 units, and then we'll give them militia. Additionally, of course, we took our 2 extra companions here that joined our group, and we derobed them, right? We did some lewd stuff, but mostly we're doing this, I say mostly we're doing this to add leather armors and things like that so that these guys fit in with the peasants. It's a little bit of role-playing and also a little bit of nerf for these characters. All right, so we'll do some fancy editing there and kind of speed up that process. We're basically just removing some of the clothes, right? Of some of the more attractive companions in our army. We're going to give them leather and other camouflaged equipment here so that they fit in with the rest of us. Sinopa is slowly starving here, but I'm being pulled in multiple directions here by Amitatis. We just took the city, very nice defense orientation of walls and whatnot, and so it's pretty important that we make a defense here. What the fuck? Of course there's more troops coming. This is the Western Empire, and of course they're immediately going to Varagos Castle. The onslaught continues. It's just never ending. I'll visit as many of these along this campaign. I think it said at the Aserai was here at this city. Yeah, it is Aserai. So 824 forces. Now we could fight them directly with our army, right? We do have some tier 4 units, but we do have a lot of peasants. And we're gonna. I didn't do this earlier. All these tier 5 units that are part of our army, we're gonna ditch these guys. I failed to mention that. Sometimes I'll have to consolidate and get these. There's another Aserai force. I'll have to get these tier. There's more than 1,500. Varagos Castle is under siege, right? It's an absolute onslaught. And think about it. If you're at war with 8 kingdoms and you have this peasants army and 2 cities and 1 castle, well, the enemy doesn't even have enough targets to attack, right? So they're literally like in line here at the ATM to have some kind of chance to attack us here. Now, ideally, we want the Aserai to be actively sieging this city. Otherwise, there's a possibility they just stall, right? The enemy may try to stall here and starve us out. So I'm kind of actually hoping that they begin an active assault. And one of the ways, of course, you can tell an active assault is that the numbers of the attackers start to decrease, right? You'll hear a little combat sound, and then the numbers, of course, going down. That'll be indicative. See, they are starving it down, but that'll be indicative that the castles are starving it out. I really hope that that's the case, because otherwise we're going to have a little bit of a decision to make. They're not waiting for it to be starved out. They're actively assaulting the castle, still under siege. See, the numbers are going down there. That means we can join it, and it instantly will be a keep siege. Siege defense, I should say. So we got enough light here. We're going to break in and help the defenders. We lose 64 troops, but that's probably much less than we would lose in an open field battle. And now I want to take a look at these Aserai forces here to see what we're up against. Look at that shit. 108 Vanguard Ferris, 18 Palace Guards. These armies are fucking stacked. Tons of elite archers, elite cataphracts. Battanian Horsemen is the highest level. Battanian Heavy Cav, elite hired crossbow. Unreal. And the other army, let's see here. Yeah, 21 palace guards, 45 master archers, 24 vanguard, Ferris, axe. I mean, the list just goes on and on. These enemies that we're facing are elite, and we've got peasants with farm implements, sacks of potatoes for armor. What could go wrong? Actuality, of course, for defense, peasants work pretty well, right? Anybody who's attacked a city has been jammed up against peasants. So sure hard to break through. And look at this layout, right? I was mentioning that Amitatis, not only are there angles on the walls here so our guys from the towers can shoot down, but look at this courtyard. It's actually like a rolling courtyard. We'll get some captains assigned here, but then I'm going to position archers. Let's see, the 6th. The 6th will probably be a personal line. Some players were kind of overwhelmed by it, so we sort of simplified the amount of cores we're using for a lot of these castle sieges. This Wahan the Golden, this guy, he's a new guy. We just added him to our army, and we've barely even put some equipment on the guy. But this is what I mean. So the 6th Division, those are skirmishers. What I want is I want archers down in these open courtyard areas. I can't seem to get them. Can't seem to get these guys spread out. Now the 6th, I don't know why there's so many units in that. I reduced it to the minimum size. But what I want these guys is I want these guys to be effectively throwing javelins up at the walls there. That looks like fucking peasants. That looks like a bunch of guys with sticks and scythes for weapons. But our archer corps, this will work, right? We're going to be able to take this 4th corps here and spread it out in a big long line. And as the enemy comes up, yeah, these guys are all peasants, except our companions. We still have a companion or two that's in armor, and if people are curious, he said, I'm taking their armor. Every single guy here is a peasant or a militia spearman. The reason that's happening is because I have companions that have their own little force that's part of our army, and in that situation, you don't have access to that inventory. So I can't remove their armor until I tell them to disband, and I just haven't had time to do that, right? Just like the narration, I barely have time to catch my breath. So there's still a couple, 3 companions that are in armor, heavy armor, like plate armor, and the rest of us are wearing, bear sheep, bear skin. This looks like all peasants in this early stage of this battle. These guys are literally like wearing sad-looking fucking clothing, and it takes them like 30 seconds to wind their bow up. I hear guys getting smoked with javelins. I want those exploding fucking rounds. I didn't take a moment to actually, see, they're over here. I should have taken a moment to customize this fact. I could have put them towards the center of the keep, which would have been a lot more convenient for gathering these up and, of course, then chucking them down on the enemy. It's good that there's a catapult here causing damage, but it's a long ways for me to run, too, just to get a hold of these. Still, I see archers down here. Catch, motherfuckers. It's a long throw, but that works, right? We just killed 4. A couple master archers, eat the dust. I'm probably not going to be able to stay here, though. It's just too far away to run. This is a really long city. The wall is really long. It feels like you could definitely get your Fitbit piled up with some steps on this city here. It just seems, God, our militia with exploding fucking catapults is mauling the enemy right now. You can also see militia dead everywhere. These poor guys, these poor peasants have been getting smoked. We'll get a little of revenge for them here, right? Kill 10 of their guys. I think we're going to have to focus, though, on the center part of this citadel. I've got archers in a beautiful line over here. This side's going to be pretty protected. Look at all the fucking javelins. Just thousands of javelins, and all I see are militia corpses. They're not going to be able to stay on these walls. Loading bombs right here. Look at this. This, I don't think you have any control of this. I've seen this before in a few cities. I think the developer, thank you so much, developer who put that shit here. I don't think you have any ability to customize where these bombs are. You see, there's not even a catapult here, so these are literally just here to blow up the dozens of guys that are near the wall, right? These guys are getting exploded en masse as our militia gets shot in the face. All I see is dead militia everywhere I look. But again, we reserved those 2 infantry, we reserved those two archer divisions that are down in the courtyard, right? And those guys are going to do major work, and they're totally protected from the enemy's archers. I see 1,000 javelins being thrown up here. But the value of these exploding bombs is this. Look at this. The enemy has like 20 guys all stacked up at the base. of these ladders, right? We're going to be able to do major damage here. Now I got to support guys on this side of the wall as the Aserai are pouring over on these ladders here. We've got to do some work in here. These guys don't really have a good position. The archers are doing amazing work. There's just an absolute furor of arrows coming up here. Look at this palace guard. Get the fuck out of here. You don't have a fast enough weapon, dude. You have no chance. This guy's just overwhelmed. But these guys, they're going to be able to hold okay. They have archer assistance, right? Anybody that comes up here is getting skewered. We'll take out a few of these guys here with javelins and whatnot. But I'm going to head to the gate. I hear the noise of carnage. If you got a good set of headsets, you can look up at in the upper right there and see the death spam and know that something is wrong. I can hear combat and I can see death spam. That's your cue as a general in this situation to respond. Yeah, I see they're starting to burst through the gate. Now, I have a reserve unit there that I can send forward, right? I'm keeping them in reserve, and it doesn't look like so many that we have to panic here. We can just beat these guys down ourselves, right? Help this militia. It is 80% militia here. Help these guys sort of quell this Aserai breakthrough here at the gate. Not that many broke through and joined my peasants to wrap this up. Right? We're going to inspire. Look at how much militia this is. It's fucking amazing. It's like that guy's shoving the ladder off. This keep right now. This is our keep, Aserai. Bring more next time. Holding back this giant force of Aserai. Canyon Fiend champ down there. I got a javelin for your head, dude. I'm going to put that archer division. All right, reinforcements are pouring in. I see the enemy fucking pouring over the ridge by the hundreds. And see what's going on over here. They're heading mostly towards the left side of the keep, so that's where we're going to focus our attention. I got those exploding bombs. They're up here. So if the enemy starts to punch through that gate and bring reinforcements, well, we're going to have a nice little welcoming party for them. Here they come, too. And my militia's getting smoked. But as long as they hold this keep at the front door here, we've got a nice little present for these guys running in here. I mean, this is literally fish in a barrel. They are pouring in, running right at our exploding rounds here, and we can throw these like every 2 seconds. It's just mass death for the enemy. Yeah, you guys can pack a little bit tighter there. Good job. Made, just what the doctor ordered in this situation, obviously against so many elite troops, to be able to blow up like 100 of their units as they charge the keep. Very, very important. All right. So just like a good mother goose, making sure her gandlings are okay. We're sending in a 6th Corps there at the front because I'm leaving them for a second just to sort of look at this guy's head right here. We're basically going to make sure that front gate holds. I'm bringing my exploding rounds over here because there are more guys here that just can't wait to get blown to pieces. And the archers there have a beautiful spot there smoking the enemy. Oh, that's fucking enemies right there. Let's pound some boys over the head. This is the enemy pouring through here. I can't tell what they're doing. I'd imagine they're rallying. They'll try to get to a rally point, but they're doing so in the face of withering archer fire, right? And they're getting trucked by my hammer to boot. Hey, you guys can rally all right. You guys can rally your corpses up here for us. Our archers there, even though they're militia, you see the death spam. Imperial militia archer. We're doing pretty good work there, all those guys down in the courtyard, right? Just like we hoped. I've got a companion here firing javelins down on the enemy. Whoops, no, I don't mean to dismount any enemies. I want my infantry to not charge through the gate. I want the enemy to have to come through the gate, right? I'm sort of eyeballing our troops to make sure they don't pour out. Because if you have your troops pour out against the enemy, it's an open field battle where you have militia and recruits and whatnot against their elite forces. It'll be a massacre. And I don't mean on our side. All right, so the enemy's piling up over here now. These guys are doing a beautiful job. They don't even have archer support, but this like 20 infantry here, they're like pushing the ladders away. They're holding their spot. And we're going to seek some more of these exploding rounds here to toss down on the enemy. Oh, no here, none here. I should have figured they would have been firing. I would have heard the firing noise in that catapult. There's more death spam, right? That's my alarm as like a firefighter, first responder, ex-military, that there's an emergency we've got to respond to. Look at these guys, a bunch of militia. They've got their scythes and their shields and shit. I don't see our archers shooting, so I suspect a lot of the death is... No, it's at the gate. These guys just don't have a shot because there's so many of our troops in there. All right, we're going to wade in here with our troops. They got master archers and whatnot pouring through the gate. But we have enough forces here, I think, to handle this. And a big wave of reinforcements came in. More peasants to the rescue here, right? These guys, they've all eaten a lot lately because we give our peasants lots of rations. They're dating the hottest chicks because our army hasn't lost yet. And so chicks dig a winner, right? They're all over our peasants. These guys are bragging about how they got 6 kills and knocked the palace guard unconscious. Morale is extremely high. The screen is full of green death spam, right? Had one of you viewers, a regular viewer, say, yeah, I heard about that green spam from the Dr. Seuss series. If you don't get the reference, your parents probably weren't good parents. Didn't do the old Dr. Seuss. This should be basically a felony or something like that. Classic stuff there. So green spam is good, right? That means the enemy's dying. Not red spam. That means our guys are dying. The enemy seems to be trying to storm through the left side of the keep here, so we're going to consolidate our forces. I'm leaving a force and an archer division there to guard the gate, and we're going to celebrate because the enemy is fleeing. Fucking beautiful. Another major force here. I hear people attacking shit. What's this shit? Oh, I think the Aserai are trying to retreat here. These guys, their mates left them, totally abandoned them, and these guys are trying to head for the exits. Getting shot in the back and shit. Looters are fucking swinging their little weapons at them. Get them, dude. Bushwhackers. All right, so we took some heads from the Aserai here. This is another major defense. And critically, right, we lost minimal troops. Now, we did lose, what did we lose, 64 when we broke into the city, broke into the citadel. Look at our overzealous troops are pouring after them all. Now, don't get too cocky, boys. We're not that good. You guys can't just chase down. I see militia chasing after these palace guards. It's fucking hysterical. I'm having a lot of fun with this, right? It's an underdog story. We've got this citadel. We've got this Zuvan, the peasant leader. We're mangling forces left and right, including very high-end forces. 900 Aserai here sent into their graves. And we lost, almost 200 troops, but a lot of that is the militia for the city. There's just no way around that, right? They're really weak units. These guys are blacksmiths 6 days of the week, and then 1 day of the week they'll help you fight off elite Aserai forces. So we're going to take Mother of God. This is the mother load right here. I was talking about it earlier, the prisoners, and this is literally Christmas for us in this campaign. 300. Now, most of them are elite troops. That's a bummer. So I can't recruit these elite troops. That's the ground rules, right? Ordinarily, this would be a godsend for your army. But we will still take, it looks like it's at least 150 or 200 troops here. This is huge for us in this campaign. I'm going to be able to basically, this is like finding... a roasted oxen when you're starving in the woods, right? With it all spitted up and salted and seasoned. This is an absolute incredible feast for our armies here. We're going to be able to load our units up, and this is going to expand our horizons, right? We just defeated an Aserai force. We're going to be able to load up our army now with all of these units, and there were quite a few Tier 3 and Tier 4 in there. Look at, I'm overstocked. I have 500 troops. I'm going to be able to put some in the castle here, or the city of Amitatis. We're going to be able to give some of our companions more troops for the next phase of this journey, as we probably seek to take Ataconia Castle and Rotai. Right, we're going to move onward and upward with this peasant revolt. The enemy just suicided on our gates and left us a gift of about 150 prisoners. So thank you very much, Aserai. Maybe we'll take it easy on their lords, right? Since they gave us such a favor, we'll only execute half of their nobles, right, in the next few episodes. That's us being charitable these days, as we continue to fight these overlords here in Bannerlord with this peasant army, our lake rat wreckers and whatnot. and continues sort of to try different tactics and different strategic things to overcome these intense odds. You can see I'm going to have to definitely distribute some units around here, some more nice weapons for us, but at this stage, obviously, we have all the nice weapons and equipment we can possibly use. And it's on to the next phase, right? The next thing probably, well, I should probably go try to defend Varigos Castle. This castle's still under siege. I can probably make it there in time. You know, with 150 units defending, it'll probably hold out. But I'm looking at Rotai, right? I'm looking at Rotai. I'm looking at Ataconia Castle. Hell, we're looking to take over the whole map here, right? with our bushwhackers and brigands and militia. Hopefully it's enjoyable to watch. Hopefully this has been a fun campaign for you to follow. I've had a lot of requests for me to do a full campaign, and in the near term, this is kind of the closest thing that I'm willing to sort of offer. I've said it before. You really don't want to see me stumble through the very early stages of a campaign unless you want comedy hour. We probably won't do that until at least a few of these campaigns are wrapped up. But thanks again for watching, friends. Please like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. And I will see you, friends, next time.